Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, quick sip of tea, if it pleases, sir. Delicious. I am both British and bald, and today we are tackling Sector 3 of Conquest so that we can get Cobb Vanth, that duplicitous individual stealing Boba Fett's armor like that very uncouth. Let's go. Alrighty, shall we take a look at Sector 3 and its wonderful feats all combined. First off, not buffed up. Attempt to inflict buff immunity 40 times, really not so much of a problem. Win 10 battles with no tanks in your squads, also not so much of a problem. Gain profit 50 times with pirates. That's just good business. And then win 10 battles with Satele Wins surviving, because she does need to survive. Which is fine. Thankfully, Satele Wins is a very good character, and she's well worth the investment, and she's rather tanky, so all of these things combined makes it rather simple and straightforward. Now, I will once again reiterate, the one team that you really want to try and find in here is some form of droidica node. Droidica nodes can make you cheese feats rather well, rather easily, so I'm sure that everybody who has watched a past video of mine will be able to tell yourselves what some of these cheese feats are going to be. Also, Separatist lead with Jango Fett, that also can work pretty well indeed, because Jango Fett starts with damage immunity for 2 times. Now don't forget, right at the end we do have a bonus node over here that has got a droidica, so if all else fails, you can get all the way to the optional bonus battle and farm this little droidica for some good, well worthwhile feats. All in all, not a bad sector at all. Where shall we begin? I guess we can start off with a little bit of buff immunity. Now, in terms of teams, what are we going to use for the buff immunity? We are going to be using Rebels, of course, because Rebels are really good. Now, if you don't want to do this cheese, or if you don't have time to do it, or if you just don't care and you want to do something other than whaling on a droidica all day long, that's absolutely fine. We do have other options for that. So, easiest one, droidica node, CLS squad featuring Rolo. On her basic, she does buff immunity, so we know how this goes, but I am going to roll the footage just so that we can talk about it, you and I together as a team, as a tribe, as a unit. Capiche? Good. Bring on the Moxie. Now then, in terms of data discs, it is helpful if you've got something like Booming Voice, or if you've got anything that will call additional attacks to assist, because that helps you lock down that droidica. I'm obviously not using the bonus node here. I actually did a slight detour into a normal node, didn't complete the node so that I could just pick off this droidica. Essentially, all you really want to be able to do here is get it down to just droidica, and that droidica must be in damage immunity, ladies and gentlemen. You can see over there how Rolo is applying that buff immunity. I could have also used Jango Fett here. As you can see, if I just focused on Jango Fett and controlled him, wouldn't even have to worry about the droidica, but I'm trying to show this with the droidica anyway. Once you're in this position, more or less, you can just hit, not full auto basic, ladies and gentlemen. The basic buff immunity from Rolo is what we're looking for, and the rest of the CLS team will control that droidica down into the ground. Now, if you are, like in this situation, a little concerned about Jango Fett, you can choose to take him out individually. I'm letting the counterattacks do the work for me, because why not? I do take an opportunity to manually play it here, because I'm like, I don't really want that Jango Fett taking a turn and then just tapping my Rolo for no good reason. So use the AoE, take care of Jango Fett. At this point, you just go auto basic, and you leave the battle run until it times out. If you want, you can still complete this just right before the end of the battle, swap it on over into full auto so that you can go ahead and strip off that damage immunity off the droidica. He will have stacked up about 175,000 exposes, so he will die pretty much instantly. This is kind of a no-brainer, pretty easy to do, even with Relic Delta. All you need is droidica. We've seen it's in that bonus node at the end. All right. Data discs don't really matter, but if you have got Booming Voice or anything that calls to assist, that does help. Cool, groovy, amazing. And you can see over here, I just let the entire battle time out to make sure I got the maximum amount of time and I didn't accidentally go into that node. 40 buff immunities, really easy. Now, of course, if you don't want to be using a droidica cheese, you can go in. Padawan Obi-Wan's Omicron applies buff immunity on an AoE every time they use a special. You can also get no tanks done with this, so as you're progressing, you can use this, go in with no tanks, and you're going to double dip on buff immunity and no tank victories. Really useful way of getting it done. When it comes to Satele victories, you can't double dip with the no tanks, as she is a tank. However, if you've got her team invested, she's flipping phenomenal, as you can see. I'm not running anything that's really boosting her protection. She's a Relic 9 unit. You don't need her at Relic 9, Relic 7, Relic 8. We'll all do fine. I was able to do this and get like 3 or 4 victories on the bounce think the average level over here is like Relic 7 for this team, apart from Satele, who is Relic 9. And I didn't have any issues just sort of going in. You can see over there, Juhani is actually Relic 6. I didn't have any issues just going through and doing that. Now, if you are having issues getting Satele to survive because you don't have a whole lot of investment in her, you can do any of the tried and trusted methods of keeping her alive by using a team that's going to go first. The easiest one of these is always going to be the Mole Watt setup, because this has just got insane damage output right out the gate. You could go in with Mole, Candrass, Django Fett, throw in Watt Tambor over here, and then throw in Satele at the end. Doing something like this, you place the weapons tech on Maul at the start, it's going to trigger his frenzy, he's going to get 100% turn meter, use his first special, Candrass is going to gain 100% turn meter, use Candrass's first special, Maul's frenzy is going to trigger again, he's going to get a bonus turn with 5 stacks of Seething Rage, and you'll be able to clear out individual enemies. Now, if you can't do something like that because you don't have Maul, you can just go ahead and throw in any of your GLs that are tanks, throw in Watt to make sure that they're taunting, so that will work with Glat, that will work with JML. JML's a little bit better, provided, you know, you've got some more additional Jedi to call to assist, or any light side units, truth be told. But that will work. If we had stuff like Amplify Agony, then I would recommend using stuff like Reaver Grand Inquisitor, but we don't unfortunately have that data disk setup in this particular Conquest. So you are going to have to rely on other methodologies. You can go in with like Bam Dash Hand Chewy, but because we don't have that many data disks that give us turn meter gains in this particular Conquest, it makes it a little bit harder. If you're looking for no tank victories, I absolutely adore using Great Mothers with Booming Voice. Great Mothers with Booming Voice is just all kinds of broken. Just make sure you don't take in a tank. Don't take in what's her name? Morgan Elsbeth, gosh, or Zombie for that matter, right? So this is great because she takes her turn, she strips away the protection, and then there's a mass assist from Booming Voice. It's just such a good combo. Stack up your team with a bunch of attackers and you will clear through teams in no time doing this. Absolutely no time. Absolutely love it. Other no tank teams, not no attacker teams, I quite like using Imperial Troopers. Against the right node, this can do wonders. Take in Watt and just use a basic at the start. That's going to give 2 buffs to your entire team, giving them 20% turn meter gains right at the start, and often that's enough for you to take the first turn, which frequently is all Imperial Troopers need in order to perform. They just need to get that first kill. Once the first kill is on the board, they usually TM roll. Now, this is obviously going to be dependent on what team you're running, because you need to make sure that you can actually TM gain and not get counterattacked and stuff like that. And of course, you can use that Maul setup as we went over previously, just not with Satele Shan per se. Anything that will get out the gate and not use a tank is going to be good. Another fun one to use, you can just throw in Bane with Darth Revan in my instance, and this is just ridiculous because Bane is ridiculous, truth be told. You just do crazy amounts of damage, even against these rather chunky Ewoks. Big old AoE, pretty much wipes the entire board. You can get, like, I would prefer if you sort of spread these teams wider so that you don't sap your stamina too much across individual teams. So there's a number of teams that you can do with no tanks. You can also double dip no tanks and also have some profit gains by using a Mars team over here. Just make sure you don't take in Quiggled and you don't take in Vayne. This is the only battle I did for profit, because the profit generation with Mars is insane, and it's insane if you've got Pirate King Hondo. If you do not have Mars or Pirate King Hondo, I tend to try and recommend using Captain Silver with Brutus, because those two combined have got really silly levels of profit generation anyway. I believe Captain Silver at the start gives himself 5 stacks of profit. I'll have to check that in a second. And then Brutus will steal profit from him as well. So just like you immediately getting yourself at least 5 stacks of profit per battle. Only need to do 10 battles in total to get it done. Throw in something that's going to tank. Throw in Watt if you have to force a taunt on that tank. Anything like that to get this job done will be a good way of doing it. Cool. You don't have to survive the battle either. You can just farm it. It's not ideal, I know, but hey, you can make it done. Also, global feats, you do need to win 20 battles with full squad of pirates, so this will count towards that as well. You see, that was the one battle I did with profit. Immediately, Mars just gets it done with those particular units. Ah, yes, that's it. If your leader is a dark side pirate, so you could use Ithano or you could use Silvo, Brutus is going to gain 5 stacks of profit at the start, which is great. But also, if it is Silvo, whenever Silvo takes damage, he's going to lose a stack of profit and Brutus is going to gain a stack of profit. So you'll be able to sort of double dip there. constantly as it goes on. So I quite like using Captain Silver if you do not have the Galactic Legend Pirate King Hondo, or if you do not have Mars. Using a setup like this, throw in any additional pirates. You could throw in Ithano if you want, then get any sort of tank that's going to sort of tank the damage and win the actual battle. You just need a win mechanic. So as many as you possibly can is going to be good. You can always just throw in, even someone like Rey, Lord Vader, JMK, anything at the back wall here that's going to win you the battle is going to do fine. Anything that will time out the battle and drag it on, also going to be great. Okay, let's talk about mid-sector boss then. Mid-sector boss is against a dash team. You have to win with no supports in your units. That's pretty easy. We've already gone through how you can do it with no supports. You can take in something like a CLS team, for example, right? And then win with Yoda and Chewbacca surviving. You could go ahead and use that mole setup again. I think I've got some other footage as well, because that's always fun. Looks like I did the no support using a Bo-Katan Mandalore team. A lot of people will be getting Lightspeed tokens for this team. Just make sure you don't take in either Armorer and do not take in IG-12 and Grogu, because those are unfortunately support types. For the mid-sector boss then, looks like we took in a CLS team. I just took out C-3PO and threw in Drogon, because Drogon's really powerful. You do need to take care of Vandal Chewbacca first, because he will revive if he has got that prepared, and he will start with prepared and buffs. So that's where my focus was at the start. This gets a little bit hairy sometimes, but once you get the ball rolling, I find it's really not too bad. Gotta go ahead and just take out Vandal Chewbacca first, then try and get round to dash as quickly as you possibly can, because he's the one that's going to be doing the lion's share of the damage. Unfortunately, over there, OG Hondo was in his outmaneuver stance, so they couldn't target him. Once we get rid of everybody else, it's kind of short work, right? Kind of short work. Blindside doing great work. Good data disk. And then I just did the same thing. Now, if you've got investment in your Wookiees, right, just do a full Wookiee team. Tarful, all that good business. Take in Yoda and Chewbacca. I just dropped out Drogon and threw in Yoda and Chewbacca and did the exact same thing all over again. Now, granted, my Yoda and Chewbacca is a high relic level of investment, so I can't really show you how to do it with low level, but this sort of thing should work in practice. You will need at least some level of investment in Yoda and Chewbacca for this. Thankfully, most people should have him at least gear 12 from the previous era if you had played the previous era, so there is a built-in level of survivability there. Not too bad using the CLS team. End sector boss then is against the CLS, which is really irritating, truth be told. We need to win with the Sarge Ventress, Dark Disciple surviving, and we need to win with a full squad of Geos. Now, the full squad of Geos versus CLS is awful. I'm not gonna lie, guys. My Geos suck. They're like, this is my Geo team. Relic 53334. Terrible, terrible team. The only way that I could get this to win was by using consumables. Okay, like, I hate to say it, but that's the way it was. So I'll show you what I did. Went in with my same standard data disk, anything with a little bit of survivability, and then I used a speed booster for extra speed. I threw in a consumable that gave me 90% more protection, and then I used initial tether tech. Now, initial tether tech is amazing. It will force the enemy team to have full ability blocks for 2 turns at the start that they can't get rid of. So, well, it can be getting rid of, but they have no means of getting rid of it, realistically speaking, right? So I used those 3 consumables, threw in my Geos with my standard data disk setup, to just have some hope of getting this done. If you've got more investment in your Geos, or if you've even got them modded well, because mine are garbage, I never use them, you'll have a better time. You do want to focus down OG Chewbacca first, because he is passing guard to the team. Now, over here, I did not use the AoE, because I didn't want to eat a bunch of counterattacks, so I just cleansed, healed up, did the mass assist on Chewbacca. Now, my, I can't remember the name of the data disk now. What is it? Come on, scribe, brain, think! Think, brain, think! Blindside, there you go. When you attack out a turn, you expose the target enemy for 2 turns. So, combining Geos with Blindside is really good. You see, we do everybody assists, and then there's 5 exposes on Chewbacca. So, that basically handles any unit. Take out Chewbacca first. I went in for Han Solo next. Again, trying not to do any sort of AoEs, because after every round, look at that, 5 exposes. Wonderful. Can immediately get rid of pretty much any unit. I left CLS till last. Don't know if that was the right thing to do, but I did feel like getting rid of Han Solo first, Chewbacca first, and then Han Solo is the most important part. And then a big hit over there from Spy. Now, the other thing I will say about the data disks that I did have equipped was that I was using Weak Spot, for example. Weak Spot When we attack out of turn, we're going to ramp our offense, which is great. Geos do a lot of attacking out of turn, so that's going to ramp the offense up. Booming Voice, additional assists when our leader, Geobrood Alpha, does any ability. Fierce Persistence, when we get inflicted with a debuff, I'm healing up health, and then it's just Decay Turn Meter, Blindside, and Insatiable. So this sort of data disk setup allowed me to survive with all of the additional consumables I had. It's sucky. It's a sucky feat, guys. I'm not going to pretend like it's a good feat. Like, honestly, if you can get rid of it, don't try. Don't try. If you've got consumables, go ahead and use them. Asajj Ventress, a little bit of a different story. Now, I decided to go in with a Treya setup over here. There are probably a dozen ways you can bake this cake, truth be told. I had a little bit of unfortunate luck there where they focused straight down on Asajj. Thankfully, mine is High Relic, but I'm not sure how to get around if she isn't High Relic here. Because they may well just attack her every time and kill her straight away. This is why I don't like a CLS team. They go first. You could try and mirror CLS, but I guarantee you their hand is going to be faster because their stats are insane. So he's probably going to shoot you. The idea is, in a hand shoots first setup, is you could stun their Chewbacca or something like that to stop them assisting, but you're never going to stop that hand solo from maybe potentially just taking out your Asajj turn 1. It's a kind of sucky boss. I'll be honest, it really does punish people for not investing in their units. So, failing that, Treya did pretty well overall. If you've got some sort of revive, maybe using an Ewok Elder in there to get a revive in case you lose Asajj, I don't know. It's not the best. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is gonna about do it for Sector 3! Sector 3. We got Sector 4 coming up later, Sector 5 after that. Amazing. Give the video a like if it helped you. Subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you all in the very next video, baby. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.